Imagine waking up in a town where your boss controls not just your job, but your home, your grocery bill, even your children's school. This was the reality for over 3 million Americans. More than 2,500 company towns vanished from the map, leaving behind abandoned streets and broken promises. How did the dream of America's corporate kingdoms become a cautionary tale almost overnight? The answer begins with why these towns ever existed at all. At the height of America's industrial boom, company towns dotted the map from the coal fields of West Virginia to the forests of Washington and the steel valleys of Pennsylvania. More than 2,500 of these towns existed by the 1920s, shaping the daily lives of about 3% of the nation's workforce, over 3 million people. In these places, the company was more than an employer. It was landlord, grocer, school board, and sometimes even the law. Coal mining operations carved out entire communities in the Appalachian Mountains, while lumber companies built villages deep in the Pacific Northwest. Textile mills rose along southern rivers, and railroads like Pullman, Illinois, created whole neighborhoods for workers on the edge of major cities. From the chocolate factories of Hershey, Pennsylvania, to the smelters of the Midwest, company towns became essential to America's growth, especially in regions where no other settlement existed. Each industry left its own mark, but the pattern was clear. Wherever resources were remote and labor was needed, a company town sprang up, offering a home to those willing to trade independence for steady work. The sheer scale of this experiment set the stage for everything that followed, both the promises and the perils. It reshaped daily life, and it left consequences that the country would contend with for generations. Building an entire town from scratch was often the cheapest way for companies to tap remote resources. Coal seams, timber stands, and ore deposits rarely sat next to established cities. Rail freight was expensive, and moving hundreds of workers daily over rugged terrain made little sense. Instead, corporations calculated that constructing houses, stores, and roads right on the doorstep of a mine or mill cost less than paying for long commutes or losing workers to exhaustion. In places like the Appalachian coal fields or the deep forests of the Northwest, there simply was not any other housing to rent or stores to shop at, so the company became the landlord by default. This control was not just about convenience. Owning every home and every storefront gave companies enormous leverage over their workforce. If a worker caused trouble or tried to organize, the company could evict them overnight, cutting them off from both shelter and supplies. The company's role as landlord meant that every paycheck was filtered through deductions for rent and utilities before workers saw a dime. For the corporations, this model did not just solve a logistical problem, it created a captive, dependent workforce, one where the lines between employer and daily life blurred completely. The financial logic was simple: build the town, own the workers' lives, and keep every dollar possible within the company's reach. Not every company town was built on hardship and debt. In 1903, Milton Hershey set out to create something different in the rolling farmland of Pennsylvania. Instead of cramped shacks and muddy streets, Hershey planned a community with tree-lined avenues, sturdy brick homes, and modern plumbing. Workers' children attended well-equipped public schools. Families spent weekends in public parks, swimming pools, and a grand community center. Hershey Park, opened in 1906, offered free entertainment and a sense of pride that went far beyond the chocolate factory gates. For many, the town felt like a promise kept, a rare place where hard work brought real comfort. A similar vision took shape in Wisconsin. The Kohler family, owners of a major plumbing company, designed a village where workers could live in attractive homes, surrounded by green space. Streets were carefully planned, and the village included a theater, shops, and recreation fields. Unlike most company towns, Kohler evolved into a lasting, independent community that still exists today. Both Hershey and Kohler stood out for their amenities and sense of stability. These places offered what few company towns could, providing dignity, opportunity, and a real chance to build a better life. But while these model villages proved that a company town could succeed, they were exceptions, bright spots in a much darker landscape. Company towns kept tight control over every dollar their workers earned. Instead of cash, miners and mill hands often received scrip, metal tokens, or paper notes stamped with the company's name. Scrip was not real money. It could only be spent at the company's store, where prices ran 20 to 50% higher than anywhere else. In coal camps, the markup was even steeper, 30 to 40% above market value for basics like flour and coffee. A miner's pay stub told the story. After deductions for rent, tools, and supplies, there was little left to take home. The company store's ledger became a running tally of debts, trapping families in a cycle they could not escape. Eviction hung over every household. If a worker got injured, tried to organize, or simply spoke out, the company could order them out of their home with no notice. Families packed their belongings onto wagons, sometimes in the dead of night, with nowhere else to go. Children as young as 10 or 12 joined their parents underground or in the mills, their wages swallowed by the same scrip system. The company's grip reached every corner of life, turning what looked like a community into a system of control and quiet desperation. These mechanics did not just breed resentment, they set the stage for open revolt. In the spring of 1894, Pullman's grand experiment unraveled. The nation's economy was in free fall, and George Pullman ordered a 25% wage cut across his factories. Rents in the company-owned homes stayed exactly the same. Pay stubs from that month show workers earning less than ever, but still expected to hand over the same amount for their apartments and utilities. Anger spread quickly. In May, thousands of Pullman workers walked off the job, demanding either restored wages or lower rents. George Pullman refused to negotiate, insisting the town's finances were separate from the business. The American Railway Union, led by Eugene Debs, joined in solidarity. Within weeks, the strike rippled across the railroads of the Midwest, halting trains and freight from Chicago to the Pacific. President Grover Cleveland ordered federal troops to Chicago to break the blockade. Clashes between soldiers and strikers turned deadly. By the end, nearly 30 people had lost their lives. What began as a protest against one company's control became a national crisis, exposing the dangers of corporate power over daily life and setting the stage for even bloodier battles in the coal fields to come. In the coal fields of Colorado and Appalachia, the company town system reached its most violent breaking point. In April 1914, striking coal miners and their families, evicted from company housing, set up a tent colony near Ludlow, Colorado. For months, they endured armed guards and daily threats. At dawn on April 20th, company-hired gunmen and National Guard troops opened fire with machine guns and then set the tents ablaze. When the smoke cleared, 21 people were dead, including 11 children and 2 women. The Ludlow massacre sent shockwaves across the country, exposing the deadly cost of corporate control. 7 years later, in the hills of West Virginia, the largest armed labor uprising in American history erupted at Blair Mountain. Nearly 10,000 miners, many carrying hunting rifles and old uniforms, marched against coal operators' private armies and company deputies. For 5 days in August 1921, gunfire echoed through the mountains. The companies, backed by local lawmen and eventually federal troops, fought to hold their grip on the coal fields. The battle left an untold number dead and forced the nation to confront just how far corporations would go to protect their company kingdoms. Both Ludlow and Blair Mountain revealed that the company town system was a powder keg, and when pushed to the limit, workers and families paid the price in blood. Today, as tech giants build sprawling campuses with on-site housing and amenities, the line between employer and daily life blurs once again. History shows that when companies own the ground beneath our feet, independence is always at risk. The question now is, how much control will we surrender?